Did you know that there are over 10 countries all over the world that ban alcohol consumption in public places? Be ready to hold the bars and even be sentenced to death if you get caught in these countries. Culture-related reasons are definitely the strings attached here. Most of these countries are from the Middle East, which happens to be Muslim countries. Welcome to Advanced Mixology. Today, we'll talk about why alcohol bans started and the possible penalties for consuming them in public places, especially in these following countries. First, let's take a look at how alcohol bans or prohibition started. Prohibition refers to the legal restriction of the manufacture, sale, or transportation of alcoholic beverages in order to achieve partial or total abstinence through legal means. Aztec society, ancient China, feudal Japan, the Polynesian Islands, Iceland, Finland, Norway, Sweden, Russia, Canada, and India all attempted prohibition at some point, but only a few countries, most notably, some Muslim countries, have maintained nationwide prohibition. The restriction has been lifted in the majority of countries that have tried it. Prohibition was enacted in Finland in 1919 and repealed in 1931, whereas it was enacted in the United States in 1919 and repealed in 1933. Liquor management in Northern European countries has reflected a concern for alcoholism prevention. The Finnish ban outlawed the sale of spirits in an attempt to shift the population's consumption of beer to a higher level with lower alcoholic content. Sweden experimented with a system of liquor ration books in order to regulate individual alcohol consumption. A Massachusetts statute prohibiting the sale of spirits in quantities less than 15 gallons, passed in 1838 and repealed 2 years later, set the pattern for promoting temperance through law. Maine approved the first state prohibition statute in 1846, which brought in a wave of similar measures before the Civil War. Following a fresh attack on the selling of booze in numerous states after 1906, the movement for national prohibition arose. Antipathy to the growth of cities, the presumed scene of most drinking, evangelical Protestant middle-class anti-alien and anti-Roman Catholic sentiment, and rural domination of state legislatures, without which ratification of the 18th Amendment would have been impossible, were among the underlying forces at work to support national prohibition. Other factors included saloon corruption and industrial bosses' greater interest in preventing accidents and enhancing labor efficiency. The Anti-Saloon League, which was created in 1893, was the driving force behind the state prohibition campaigns of 1906 to 13. A brief wartime Prohibition Act was enacted during World War I to store grain for use as sustenance. Prohibition had already been enacted in 33 states, covering 63% of the population, by January 1920. In 1917, Congress passed a resolution requesting that the Prohibition Amendment be submitted to the states. The amendment was adopted on January 16, 1919, and went into effect 1 year later. The National Prohibition Act, also known as the Volstead Act after its sponsor, Congressman Andrew J. Volstead, was enacted on October 28, 1919, and established enforcement rules. During the 1920s, the federal government's backing for prohibition enforcement fluctuated greatly. Liquor was illegally manufactured and sold on a massive scale in the United States. Prohibition was generally enforced in areas where the public was sympathetic to the cause. Enforcement was far weaker in large cities, where public opinion was fiercely opposed to prohibition, than in rural areas and small towns. However, because of the higher cost of liquor and beer, the working classes were likely to bear the effects of urban prohibition to a much greater extent than the middle and upper classes. Prohibition spawned a new breed of criminal, the bootlegger. Al Capone's life was a vivid example of the emergence of large-scale bootlegging. His annual profits were projected to be in the $60 million range. The emergence of bootlegging gangs resulted in a series of gang battles and murders. The St. Valentine's Day Massacre in Chicago in 1929, when the Capone gang killed 7 members of the rival Bugs, Moran gang, was a notable episode. According to underworld historians, by the late 1920s, bootlegging was on the edge of semi-monopoly domination and gang conflicts were coming to an end. During the 1920s, the temperance movement underwent a transformation, with fundamentalist and nativist groups assuming greater leadership, driving out less hostile and urban forces. Major supporters of Prohibition gradually became disenchanted with it, citing increased criminal liquor production and sale, the development of the speakeasy, and increased restrictions on individual freedom as reasons. The Democratic Party issued a platform pushing for repeal in 1932, and the Democrats' victory in the presidential election that year sounded the 18th Amendment's death knell. Congress passed a resolution in February 1933 proposing the 21st Amendment to the Constitution, which would remove the 18th. The amendment was repealed on December 5, 1933, when Utah became the 36th state to ratify it. A few states kept statewide prohibition after repeal, but by 1966, they had all abandoned it. In general, liquor control in the United States became increasingly decentralized at the local level. Here are the countries that ban alcoholism and the punishment you may get once you are caught in the act. Number 1. Yemen. Alcohol is absolutely prohibited in Yemen because it is thought to be incompatible with Islamic beliefs. Yemenis are not permitted to use alcohol, and the sale of alcohol is prohibited across the country, with the exception of Aden and Sana'a, where the drink is offered in designated restaurants, hotels, and nightclubs. Non-Muslim foreigners are permitted to bring a certain amount of alcohol into the country and consume it in their own homes. Consumption of alcohol in public is absolutely illegal, and violators face prison and other forms of punishment. Number 2. United Arab Emirates. In the United Arab Emirates, alcohol can be sold under very rigorous controls, with the exception of Sharjah, where it is completely prohibited. Only individuals with a government-issued alcohol license, typically non-Muslims, are permitted to possess alcohol in Sharjah. Furthermore, such legitimate license holders are only permitted to consume alcohol within the limits of their own homes. Consumption, selling, or any other type of alcohol usage in public is absolutely illegal, and violators face prison, whipping, or other forms of punishment. Alcohol can be sold in restaurants, hotels, and other establishments in the other United Arab Emirates if the seller has a valid alcohol license. Non-Muslims are permitted to consume alcohol, but only in their own homes or in hotels and bars that they visit. In these places, no sort of alcohol use or intoxicated behavior in public places is tolerated. Tourists from other countries are permitted to carry a restricted number of alcohol bottles into the nation for personal consumption. Number 3. Sudan. Alcohol is strictly prohibited in Sudan, a war-torn country in Northeast Africa. Since 1983, the Islamist government has made it illegal to make, sell, or consume alcoholic beverages in the country. The Sudan Socialist Union Party enacted the Liquor Prohibition Bill, which established this mandate throughout the country. Imprisonment awaits you when you drink outside your home. However, the rule prohibiting the intake of alcohol is largely applicable to the country's Muslims. Non-Muslims are allowed to drink alcohol in their own homes. To avoid any uncomfortable situations, tourists are encouraged to always comply with and respect the local regulations and customs in Sudan, especially the laws on alcohol drinking. Number 4. Somalia. Somalia, an Islamic country in the Horn of Africa, is highly severe when it comes to the enforcement of alcohol-related legislation. Alcohol production, trade, and use are all prohibited in this country. Non-Muslims and foreign visitors are permitted to imbibe the intoxicating beverage, but only in their own private space. Those who disobey the Islamic regulations of the country face severe consequences like imprisonment and other forms of punishment. Number 5. Saudi Arabia. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, which is home to Mecca, Islam's holiest shrine, indicates a complete prohibition on alcohol. In the country, it is unlawful to manufacture, import, sell, or consume alcohol. To ensure that no one enters the country with alcohol, strict luggage checks are done at the airport. Those who are caught selling or drinking alcohol in public face severe penalties. Long-term incarceration and whipping may be used as punishments. Foreign visitors are also recommended to exercise extra caution when dealing with this sensitive subject, and it is better to refrain from consuming alcoholic beverages while in the nation. Number 6. Pakistan. Since the country's independence, alcohol has been legal in Pakistan for 3 decades. During the tenure of Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, however, it was outright outlawed in the country, and the restriction was maintained when he left office in 1977. While Muslims are now prohibited from brewing, selling, or consuming alcohol in the country, non-Muslim minorities are permitted to apply for alcohol permits. Permits are frequently provided based on an individual's financial status. The monthly donation to non-Muslims in the country is usually 5 bottles of liquor and 100 bottles of beer. In Pakistan and several other Muslim nations, drinking alcohol is illegal. Those guilty of using alcohol in Pakistan are sentenced to 80 lashes under the Prohibition, Enforcement of Had, Order of 1979. This raises a number of issues. Number 7. Mauritania. Alcohol possession, consumption, sale, and manufacturing are prohibited in the Islamic Republic of Mauritania, which is located in western North Africa. Non-Muslims, on the other hand, are permitted to consume alcohol in their homes or in establishments such as hotels and restaurants that have legitimate liquor licenses. People caught in the act may be subject to immediate fines, confiscation, and or incarceration. Number 8. Maldives. Alcohol is prohibited for the indigenous population in the Maldives, an archipelago in the Indian Ocean and a famous tourist destination noted for its world-class beaches and unique resorts. Only resorts, hotels, and restaurants with special permits are permitted to offer alcohol to Maldivians. A convict may charge a jail sentence ranging from 6 days to 3 months. Number 9. Libya. It is recommended that visitors to Libya follow local norms and rules. The country's alcohol laws are highly tight, and the sale and drinking of alcohol is absolutely prohibited. Those who break the law by selling or consuming alcohol in public face severe penalties. However, there are allegations that alcohol is widely available in the country through illegal channels. Long-term incarceration and whipping may be used as punishments. Number 10. Kuwait. The sale, drinking, and possession of alcohol are all illegal in Kuwait. For individuals who drink and drive, the government maintains a zero-tolerance stance. Even if only a trace of alcohol is found in the driver's system, the criminal will face severe consequences. Alcohol use in public areas is absolutely illegal, and foreigners who do so may face jail or deportation. Number 11. India, but only in some places. In India, the laws governing the sale, possession, and consumption of alcohol are governed by the state. Gujarat, Nagaland, and more recently, Bihar are among the states in the country that have outlawed the sale and consumption of alcohol within their borders. Drinking alcohol in public places will guarantee a fine of 5,000 Indian rupees, and if the offender makes a nuisance, then the fine shall be up to 10,000 Indian rupees with a jail term of 3 months. Alcohol is prohibited in several places in Manipur and Lakshadweep. Kerala has some limitations on the sale and consumption of alcoholic beverages. Alcohol is not prohibited in other Indian states. A dry day is observed in a few states during specific festivals, whereas the entire country observes dry days during elections or national holidays such as Gandhi Jayanti, the birthday of Mahatma Gandhi. Number 12. Brunei. Alcohol drinking and sale in public places are prohibited in Brunei, a sovereign state in Southeast Asia. Non-Muslim individuals entering the nation may, however, bring in up to 2 bottles of liquor and 12 beer cans per person. They must declare this to customs at the airport, and they must only consume alcohol in private. Be ready to get whipped with 40 strokes for the first offense, 80 whips for the second, and imprisonment for up to 2 years for a third offense. Number 13. Bangladesh. Alcohol consumption and sale are illegal in Bangladesh. Non-Muslims living in or visiting the country, on the other hand, are not subject to these prohibitions as long as they keep their alcohol drinking in their private places. Alcohol is permitted to be sold in several restaurants, nightclubs, hotels, and bars throughout the country, particularly in tourist areas. Be ready to hold the bars in prison for 2 years if you get caught drinking outside your homes. And number 14. Iran. Iran's Muslim population is barred from consuming alcohol. Non-Muslims, on the other hand, are exempt from the ban and are permitted to manufacture and consume alcohol under specified conditions. Alcohol is allowed to be brought into the country by non-Muslims. Under Iran's Islamic Penal Code, the consumption of alcohol is punishable by 80 lashes, and if a person or an individual is convicted and sentenced 3 times, the punishment for the 4th time is death. So what do you think of these countries with alcohol bans? Are you willing to take the risk to drink alcohol in one of these countries? Well, let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Advanced Mixology. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.